It's such a joy to be with you, such an honor. When we talk about wellness, we have to ask ourselves, what do we even mean by wellness? What is our highest goal here? So many of us go to the doctor and we have our exams, and the doctor says, great health. Numbers are right, blood tests are right, weight is right, this is right, that's right. And yet we lie in bed at night and we can't sleep. We wake up in the morning with a heart that's racing. We can't make it through our day without antidepressants, anti-anxiety medicine, some kind of alcohol, something to make us feel okay in our own bodies. So what do we even mean when we say wellness? All of the numbers on a scale, the numbers on blood tests, the numbers on so much only tell us about the health and wellness of the physical body at this very moment. But what are we looking for? Are we looking just for the right numbers, or are we looking for something that at the end of the day, when we get into our beds, not only does sleep come easily, but that there's a sense that we are connected. There's a sense that our day was meaningful. A sense that there was a reason we got out of bed in the morning. A sense of joy. A sense of peace. As we move through the world and as we interact with people, is there a sense of aggression, of anger, of frustration, of jealousy, of competition? Or is there a sense of joy? That's what wellness is. Wellness is a sense of joy, peace, in the body, in the mind, in the experience as I'm moving through my life. It's not just about numbers on a scale, numbers on a tape measure, numbers of a blood test. But we have to ask ourselves this. Is it just six-pack abs we're looking for? Is it just how many of a certain exercise we can do? Think about all of the Olympic athletes we hear about, or all of the famous athletes who can do anything, or all of the models or actresses who are suffering. Suffering depression, suffering anxiety, suffering drug addiction, suffering alcoholism, suffering so much. I come originally from Los Angeles. Spent the first 25 years of my life living, quite literally, in Hollywood. And what I saw was so interesting. People have everything. And yet, internally, they are not set. We've got all of the money, all of the physical health, tennis courts, swimming pools, personal trainers, this, that. And yet, without a few shots of something, nobody can go to sleep at night. Without an antidepressant, nobody can get themselves out of bed in the morning. This is where Mahatma Gandhi said so beautifully, what is the point of that fast speed that has no direction? And a lot of us in the world of wellness, there's a lot of speed around take this vitamin, take this supplement, have this smoothie. Exercise like this, buy that, take this course, do this program. There's a lot of speed. But is there a direction? Where are we going with bodies that are healthier? What are we using them for? What are we doing in this life? Is there something more that we are looking for that a green shake can't necessarily provide? And this, when we think about wellness, is where we need to go. The word health in English comes actually from the root hal, H-A-L. Now, the root hal If you go back to the Old English, the etymology of it, it wasn't about your weight or your height or your body mass index or anything like that, how many crunches you can do. The word hal means three things: health, a vibrancy in the body; whole, W-H-O-L-E, wholeness. You cannot have health without an experience of wholeness. And in the root, there's even an element of spiritual connection, meaning what I call holiness. So health requires a sense of wholeness and even a sense of holiness. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't even matter if you are religious. But an awareness that I am not simply my muscles, my bones, my blood, my organs, but that actually there is something that flows through me, that also flows through you, that also flows through the universe. That experience of holiness. Now, we look at where we are today. We've eradicated all of that, or almost all of that, that was killing people last century. If you look at what people were dying from, whether it was from mosquitoes, whether it was from bad water or bad food, viruses, bacteria, we've eradicated almost all of it. And yet, what are people dying of now? Cancers, heart disease, autoimmune diseases. They're diseases of a system that has gone awry. It's no longer about bad water, bad food, you were bit by a mosquito, you were bit by a rat. It's now about your system is out of balance, out of awry. And autoimmune diseases that are skyrocketing the rates of. Literally, the body starts attacking itself. It no longer recognizes who I am. This is where we've gotten to today. We've achieved everything. We've acquired everything. We've earned everything. We've got all of the accessories. And yet our physical bodies are attacking ourself because we don't recognize the self. So what is the answer? The answer is to get reconnected, to come back into alignment. And this is the role that meditation plays in our life. Meditation is not just, I sit down in lotus posture, I close my eyes. Meditation is a noun, it's not a verb. It's about who you are and how you are. Not just about what I do from 6 a.m. to 6:20 or 5 to 6 in the morning. It's actually about how I am and about that connection. Because meditation brings health in the mind. And when there's health in the mind, that is the beginning of the actual real health in the body. Stress that every one of us is suffering from these days is actually the greatest contributor to all of the things we're now dying of. It's in our minds. There's a beautiful teaching in our scriptures that says, Man eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. And it means the mind is the key. It is the key to your bondage. It is the key to your freedom. And it is the key, my sisters and brothers and friends, it is the key to your health. And if you don't believe me, I'll give you just one example. Time is really short, but one example, my favorite example actually. More than 50% of people who have had a limb amputated, an arm, a leg, more than 50% of people who have had that limb amputated have pain in a limb they no longer have. Now think about that for a moment. I've lost my arm. It's been amputated. But I have pain in my arm. It's what neurologically we call phantom limb pain. How is that even possible? But more than 50% of people have it. Look it up online. Now the question becomes, how can an arm I don't have hurt? Because the pain is not in my arm. The pain is in my mind. That doesn't mean it is your fault. It doesn't mean you are crazy. It doesn't mean you are stupid. It doesn't mean you're a mental case. It doesn't mean any of those things. What it means is the mind is the most powerful tool we have. Everything that exists in our world, including something as basic and seeming physical as pain in my arm, is actually in my mind. Which means the work we do must be in the mind. And we need a shift in the mind to bring back health, to end suffering. And this is what I've come to term a shift from the Hollywood way of thinking to the Himalayan way of thinking. My memoir is called Hollywood to the Himalayas. But it's not just my physical journey. It's not just the story of a 25-year-old, young Jewish woman who had graduated from Stanford and was in the midst of a Ph.D. in neuropsychology, who comes to India with a backpack and ends up staying for what's now been more than 26 years. It's not just the physical journey. It's a shift in the mind that is actually for everyone. And that's why I share it with you today. Because the Hollywood way of thinking says you are your body. You are its size, its shape, its color, its bank account, its career, its title, its followers on Facebook. You are its history, what has happened to it, where it has gone. You are what it has done. You are its relationships. And so we suffer. We suffer a constant experience of not enoughness. We suffer jealousy, we suffer competition, we suffer frustration, we suffer resentment, we suffer guilt and shame, we suffer expectation, anxiety. Like, this is the stuff our stress is made of. The Himalayan way of thinking says you have a body, but you're not the body. You are the soul. You are the spirit. You are infinity. There is nothing you lack. This is that wholeness. You are full and whole and complete. We are Purna. This is what the mantras in our scriptures teach us. We are Purna, full, whole, created not just by the Creator, but of the Creator. And meditation is that. Meditation is not about becoming something new. It's about letting go of that which is not. Letting go of that which is not self, so that we can actually experience the truth of who we are. We peel away layers. Now, for a lot of people, when we sit to meditate, the mind troubles us, right? People say, my God, I sit down to meditate and my mind just goes crazy. Well, if the night before you meditated, you had had a really big meal, you'd eaten a lot of junk food, when you get up to meditate the next morning, your stomach is going to trouble you. It's going to be very difficult to meditate because you're going to have a lot of pain in the stomach. But that's not a sign that you can't meditate. It's a sign that you need to stop feeding yourself junk food that's causing distress in your stomach. In the same way with the mind. We are feeding our mind junk thoughts. Junk thoughts that say you are what you look like. You are your size and your shape and your color and your history and your bank account, your career. We are feeding ourselves junk thoughts that are constantly pulling us back into jealousy, into feeling not enough, into competition, into desires, into fear. So when we feed our mind that and we sit to meditate, our mind pains us the same way that our stomach pains us after a bad meal. So the lesson is not, oh my God, I can't meditate because of my mind, but to stop feeding the mind junk. The mind is the steering wheel of our life. If I say to you, I'm going to give you the most beautiful car, free, beautiful, beautiful car, lush this, lush that, 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. But the car has no steering wheel. It's the only catch. Would you take it? Would anybody get behind the wheel of a car that had no steering wheel? Of course not. The mind is the steering wheel. And so we need to work to strengthen that mind. We need to work so that the mind becomes in our hands. If as I stood here before you, I was like, as I'm talking, my arms are doing this, and I say, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's just my silly arm. Yeah, it does that sometimes. It's got kind of a mind of its own. Don't worry. You'd think, she's got some problem. Something wrong with her. And then if I started jumping up and down and said, oh yeah, don't worry, those are just my silly legs. They also do that sometimes. And you'd think, she really should get herself checked out because this is not healthy. We understand our minds and our legs should be under our control. But what about our minds? We always say, oh, that's just my silly mind. My mind does that. My mind is like that. Meditation is the practice that brings our mind back into our hands. And when we speak lastly about channeling positive energy, because they asked me to also speak about channeling positive energy, as we do that, it's very simple actually. It's all about connection. It's all about connecting ourselves to the divine source, whatever that may mean for us, whatever your spiritual tradition may be, however you conceive of, connect to that super source of energy. As we plug ourselves in, we become able to share that energy with everyone. Look at these lights. Look at how beautiful these chandeliers are. But if there was no light coming out of them, they'd be useless. If you have a lamp that's got a lamp shade that's made out of diamonds and gold, and it's gorgeous, but there isn't actually a cord that allows you to plug that lamp into the wall so it never can give you any light, would you buy it? Would it serve any purpose at all? Of course not. We'd much rather have a bare light bulb with no lampshade that's actually plugged in and giving us light. So when you think about sharing anything with the world, channeling, transmitting light, energy, positivity, love, joy, peace, the way to do that is very simple. Plug yourself in to the source. With our closed eyes and then with our open eyes, we literally plug in, and that's what meditation does. And then we carry that plugged inness as we move through the world. Because meditation doesn't end when I stand up off the mat. And that's this last element of holiness. As I move through the world, I'm carrying the fragrance of my meditation with me. In my meditation, I'm experiencing oneness. Oneness of the self to the divine, oneness with everything. We chant, so hum, I am that, or aham brahmasmi, I am the divine. But when I open my eyes and stand up out of my meditation, I've got to be able to see that in my family members, in my employer, in my employees, in the lady who checks me out at the grocery store. To be able to see that oneness in all and to keep remembering it in myself, that is holiness. And so allow yourself every minute of every day to stay connected. And take care of the body. Hindi mein hum kehte hain, sharir ek mandir hai. It's a temple. Take care of it by all means. But remember, the mind is the steering wheel. The mind is the source of that stress that trickles out and causes all of that we're suffering from. And I want to conclude with just a really quick demonstration for you all. Because when most people meditate, whenever I teach meditation, people always say, I want to hear Om. I want to hear my divine voice, but it's not there. I close my eyes and I don't hear Om. I don't hear a divine voice. I don't hear that sacred sound that I should be hearing. So here's the demonstration. Right down the center of this room, we're going to divide the room in two. If you're on this side of the room, you're group 1. If you're this side, you're group 2. So if you're group 1, raise your hand. Everybody, raise your hand. This side, group 1. Great. Raise your hand if you're group 2. Great. Now, group 1, your job is very simple. Your job is to chant Om, okay? So let's practice. Just group 1. Great. Group 2, your job is to make as much ruckus as you possibly can. Now, as much ruckus. I realize we are in a beautiful program. Nonetheless, everyone will bear with us for just 15 seconds. You people, your job is just to make as much senseless noise as you possibly can. 1, 2, 3, go. That is not ruckus. Come on. We need some kids in here. Come on, show me the ruckus. Feel free. Okay, so you both know what to do. You both sides were a little shy, but that was just your trial. Now, if my hand is raised on your side, it means you should be doing what I've told you to do. If the hand comes down, it means you stop. So if the hand goes up here, you're going to make all kinds of noise. If it comes down, you're going to stop. Similarly over here, all right? So we begin with both of you together. Okay, now, group 1. Did you guys just start chanting Om when they stopped making noise, or were you really chanting from the beginning? Pakka, 100%. Could anybody hear them? This is the secret to meditation, but it's also the secret to a peaceful, joy-filled, meaningful, successful life. Most of us run around trying to find Om, to create Om. If I just could take another course, get another certificate, another something, then I would have Om in my life. It's with you already. It's there. The problem is this. Our aim needs to be quieting this ruckus so that that which already exists becomes manifest and apparent. And this is the work of meditation. This is the work of yoga. This is the work of japa. This is the work of seva. This is our spiritual work that quiets the ruckus. So in your life, whenever you find yourself dying for Om and peace, and just ask yourself, what kind of ruckus is going on? And let me just close my eyes in order to quiet it. I wish we had more time, but I have a flight that I have to catch to go back to Rishikesh. But I'm so happy to have been with you all today. And so grateful to Anuragji and his entire team for giving me this beautiful opportunity to be with you all. And look forward to hopefully welcoming you all on the banks of Mother Ganga in Rishikesh, where we can come and you should have your next event at Parmarth Niketan with us in Rishikesh.
We have a common friend, Ken Honda.
Oh.
Ken was at your ashram.
Of course.
He spent a week with me in Delhi.
He's a good friend of mine.
Great.
Wonderful.
His daughter was there. And Ken is, for those who don't know, he wrote this best-selling book in Japan called Happy Money, which is across the world, 9 million copies. And he's a Virgo too, like me, Mickey, and my daughter. But, you know, Sadhvi ji, मेरा एक प्रश्न है और एक मेरा आपसे आग्रह है. One is a question and one is a request. My question is like, I'm 50 years and 7 months young. I've lived all my life in a certain way. I work, I overeat, I don't do enough movement. But I'm very conscious and I follow some of the things you say. How can I reverse some things? Is it reversible?
Absolutely. You can't rewind life. Where you are right now is what you could consider your destiny. This moment, the fact that you are here, is the sum total of all of your past karmas. Past in this life and in past lives. They've brought you here to this moment. You cannot rewind, you cannot go back. However, that which you do in this moment is the of that which is predestined for you next week, next month, next year, next life. So if there are aspects in your life today that are not in alignment with full wellness of body, mind, spirit, community, world, plant new seeds. Engage in new karmas, new actions that are going to have new repercussions and bring new trees and fruit to your world an hour from now, a week from now, a year from now.
So ageless body, timeless mind is possible.
We have a beautiful mantra in which we chant Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Now, Amritam Gamaya, this agelessness, we say, lead us from untruth to truth, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Now, immortality does not mean an ageless body. The body is made of nature. Nature has different rules. Our body abides by those rules of nature. Immortality means that I stop identifying as the body. You'll get wrinkles, you'll get gray hair. It's the nature of nature. It's like saying, why does this tree, why do the leaves turn yellow and brown and dry and fall down? Why does winter follow summer? It's the nature of nature. But we stop identifying as it and identify instead as that which is immortal.
Thank you for the beautiful explanation. And my request, I've never been to Davos, my editorial colleagues go. I have a problem with gold, so maybe next year. But I want to collaborate with you and I'll come and be in Rishikesh
Wonderful.
to build India is known for spirituality, yoga. Build the world's biggest movement in a week, the festival of well-being and spirituality, which becomes the world comes to. The presidents of the nations, the most impactful people in the world come to. So I will
Sure.
come by to Rishikesh with Devika and we'll work on it. Give Sadhvi ji a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for blessing us. Apologies for being late, but I'm sure you're enjoying this. If you're enjoying a lovely movie play, you don't look at your watch.
And
so
just-
I hope you forgive us for the delay.
Just lastly to mention, since we knew in advance when things were running late that I wasn't going to have time to sign books afterwards. So I actually signed a bunch of books before coming in. So the team from JICO has Hollywood to the Himalayas right outside, and I've just signed them before coming in. So those are all there for people who want more than I was able to share in this short time.